The galaxy was burning. Worlds that had thrived for centuries were now nothing more than smoke and ash. Cities that had glittered like stars were reduced to rubble. Across the void of space, a terrifying alien force, the Vorkai swarm, moved like a living storm. Their ships were vast, black as night, with edges that gleamed like sharp knives. Wherever they went, nothing survived. Every race panicked. Entire civilizations abandoned their colonies. Millions were left behind as ships scrambled through hyperspace lanes, carrying refugees who screamed, prayed, and wept. Fleets clashed in chaos, but it was useless. There was no time, no plan. Only one choice remained: run. But rumors began to spread. Whispers over hidden communication channels, encrypted messages bouncing from system to system, carried the same impossible words. Earth hasn't evacuated. No one believed it at first. Earth was small. It had never been considered powerful. The human species was tiny compared to the galaxy's giants. They had never ruled star systems. They had never claimed empires. And now, in the shadow of the Vorkai swarm, they were still standing? The Galactic Council was in shock. Every holographic chamber buzzed with chatter. Thousands of alien delegates argued, shouted, and gestured wildly. Why would a species so weak run into death? One elder of the Tyrian demanded, his voice cracking. Every other race flees. Every other system falls. Humans, march forward? Perhaps it is a trap, said a cold voice from the council. They may lead the swarm to our gates. We must act carefully. But while the galaxy debated, human ships were already moving. Hundreds of vessels, old and new, streaked across space. Their engines burned like streaks of fire in the black emptiness. They did not flee. They did not hide. They advanced toward the war zone where the Vorkai had already consumed system after system. On board the lead human command ship, the Dauntless, the crew was tense but focused. Captain Alara Kincaid walked across the bridge. Her boots echoed against the metal floor. She did not look at the blinking alert lights or the holographic screens showing the firestorm ahead. She looked at her fleet, at the pilots, the engineers, the soldiers. All of them had chosen this path. Everyone ready? She asked, voice calm but firm. The crew nodded. There were no smiles, no fear. Only determination. Good, she said. If the swarm wants to devour the galaxy, they'll start with us. As her words faded, the Dauntless jumped into the system. The star ahead was on fire, a red and orange ball of heat and radiation. Planets were cracked, moons shattered. Smoke and fire stretched into space like long fingers of death. And in the darkness, the black shapes of the Vorkai ships waited. The first wave hit. Human ships weaved through the onslaught, dodging beams that could melt steel in seconds. Explosions shook the void. Debris drifted through the star system like falling leaves in a storm. And still humans advanced. Every strike they fired, every maneuver they made, seemed almost impossible. Yet somehow they pressed forward. In the council chambers, the alien leaders watched in disbelief. Screens showed the human fleet moving calmly into fire, moving toward a force that had destroyed everything. Many gasped, some laughed nervously, and a few felt something they had not felt in centuries: fear. Why do they fight? A counselor of Zirin whispered. They cannot win. They will die. But that was exactly what humans had decided. Not to flee, not to survive, but to fight. The Vorkai commander, an enormous creature with eyes like burning coals, hissed across the battle comms, unable to believe what it saw. Why do you fight when your species is weak? Flee. Join the others in despair. The human reply was calm, almost casual, transmitted across the void. Because we still can. And then the human fleet pressed further. They moved through fire and death, shields flashing, weapons firing like a wall of steel and courage. They did not waver. They did not retreat. The first battle was brutal. Ships on both sides burned in violent explosions. Smoke clouded the void. Some of the smaller human vessels were destroyed. Yet the larger fleet pressed on, moving as one unstoppable force. For the Vorkai it was unprecedented. No species had ever stood in their path and refused to die. And for the humans it was just the beginning. The part ends as the Dauntless leads the fleet toward the heart of the burning system. Captain Kincaid looks at the swirling chaos ahead. Her voice echoes over the comms for all human units to hear. Hold your line. Protect the innocent. And remember, we fight so that others may live. Across the galaxy, eyes watch. Some in fear. Some in awe. The story of humanity had begun, and no one, not even the galaxy's greatest predators, would forget this day. Hook. While everyone else ran from the war, humans walked into it, determined to fight against impossible odds. The aftermath of the first battle left the galaxy in shock. The Vorkai swarm had retreated for the moment, but their shadow stretched across the stars like a dark tide. Entire star systems trembled, and the survivors whispered stories of a species no one had ever taken seriously, yet humans had stood their ground. In the Galactic Council chambers, panic and disbelief hung heavy. Hundreds of alien delegates argued endlessly, their voices bouncing off the glowing walls. "How can they fight like this?" shouted a Titerwenan ambassador. His multiple eyes blinked rapidly, full of anger and fear. "They are tiny, weak. Every other race would have fled." "They are different," said an elder from the Ziran fleet. His voice was low, almost trembling. "I have seen courage before, but not like this. Humans are unpredictable." Across the galaxy, hidden communication channels lit up with new messages. Every alien who had fled the swarm's attack received the same impossible signal. "We fight so others may live. Do not fear. Do not forget. Earth stands." No one knew where the message came from. The Vorkai had wiped entire colonies, there should have been no human survivors. Yet the words carried human encryption codes. Unmistakable, unmistakably real. The council erupted in chaos. Some laughed, claiming the message was a trick, a propaganda stunt. Others stared in silence, their minds unable to comprehend it. Meanwhile, the human fleet moved quietly, almost invisibly through deep space. Their ships were battered, but morale was unbroken. Captain Alara Kincaid walked the bridge of the Dauntless, her eyes scanning the fleet's sensors. "Reports?" she asked. "Energy readings from the colony world Arden 4 are stable," said Lieutenant Rinvalker, his voice calm. "But we detect massive Vorkai concentrations closing in." Alara nodded. She turned to the crew. "We have to hold them off. Not for ourselves, for everyone else. If we fail, billions will die." Her words were met with silence, and then a quiet, steady nod from each soldier. They understood. This was never just a fight for survival. It was a fight for the galaxy. As the human fleet approached Arden 4, scouts reported something remarkable. Small pockets of alien survivors, those who had fled too late, were watching from a distance. Many were ashamed. They had abandoned their homes and their people, yet humans were here, facing death head-on. The Vorkai advanced again. Ships like black mountains carved through space, their energy beams tearing apart anything in their path. But the humans did not retreat. Their weapons fired in perfect synchronization, creating a deadly dance of lasers and explosions. Amid the chaos, a human communication officer intercepted a strange Vorkai transmission. The alien commander hissed, voice full of disbelief. "Why do these humans fight? They are weak. They will die. Why do they not flee like the others?" Ilara's reply came calmly, almost softly across the comms. "Because we still can." The words echoed across the battlefield. Some human ships took heavy damage, others were destroyed entirely, but the rest pressed forward. Their determination was like a wall of steel. The swarm had never seen anything like it. Then, unexpectedly, human signals began reaching distant star systems. They were not threats. They were not commands. They were messages for the galaxy. "Remember us. Remember that someone stood. We fight so others may live." For the alien survivors watching from afar, the messages cut deep. Shame, awe, and fear mixed together. Many realized they had abandoned hope too soon. The humans had done what no one else dared. They had faced the darkness instead of hiding from it. The Vorkai commander became enraged. "Destroy them," it screamed across the comms, its voice shaking with fury. "Do not let them survive." But the humans were ready. They had prepared, planned, and sacrificed. Small, hidden fleets appeared from jump gates, ambushing the Vorkai from unexpected angles. Every human attack was precise, every move deliberate. The part ends with a chilling moment. The Vorkai fleet hesitates, confused, and for the first time, a sense of fear creeps into the alien commanders. On the Dauntless Bridge, Captain Kincaid stands silently, looking out at the battlefield. She whispers to herself, almost as if speaking to the galaxy. "We fight so the galaxy remembers that even in the darkest hour, someone must stand." The human fleet pushes forward into the unknown. The galaxy watches, holding its breath. Humanity has chosen to face death, and the Vorkai may have met their first true challenge. Hook, humanity is not just fighting for survival, they are sending a message to the entire galaxy. Courage can change everything. The human fleet had arrived at Arden 4, a once thriving colony world now scarred by fire and destruction. The planet's surface was cracked, cities reduced to smoking ruins, and the sky thick with ash. The Vorkai swarm had already begun their assault, raining death from above. Their massive ships hovered like dark predators, ready to crush anything in their path. Human ships formed a defensive wall around the planet. Every fighter, cruiser, and command vessel took its position with precision. They did not panic. They did not hesitate. They had one mission: hold the line and protect what remained of Arden 4. Captain Elara Kincaid walked across the bridge of the Dauntless, her boots clicking against the metal floor. Her crew worked silently, hands moving over control panels, eyes locked on the glowing screens. The tension was thick, but determination filled every corner of the ship. "Shields at full capacity," reported Lieutenant Rin Valker. "Vorkai ships are moving into attack formation. They'll strike in less than 5 minutes." Elara nodded. "Prepare weapons. Target priority, the lead ships. Everyone else follows my mark. We fight as one." Below the bridge, soldiers in armored suits checked their rifles and weapons. Engineers worked frantically to repair minor damages from the previous skirmishes. Humans moved with purpose, focused and unwavering. The first wave hit. Vorkai ships unleashed beams of energy that could cut through the thickest armor like paper. Explosions erupted across space. Smaller human vessels were obliterated instantly, their hulls turning to fire and debris. Yet the humans did not retreat. Fighters dodged with skill and precision that seemed impossible. Cruisers fired in calculated bursts, creating a deadly dance of lasers and plasma. On the planet's surface, human defense units activated. Artillery fire rained down on Vorkai landing pods, tearing them apart before they could reach the cities. Soldiers in the streets held their ground, using every weapon at their disposal. Civilians watched in fear and awe from hidden shelters, whispering prayers as humanity's soldiers faced extinction head-on. The Vorkai commander, a massive creature with eyes like burning coals, snarled in fury. Its voice echoed across space. "Why do you fight? You're weak. You cannot win." Captain Kincaid's reply was calm, yet full of conviction. "Because we still can." The swarm pressed harder. Their ships surrounded the human fleet, creating a deadly cage. Yet humans adapted, their formations shifting like living steel. They used the debris from destroyed ships to create barriers, forcing Vorkai vessels to collide with each other. Every attack was met with a counterattack, and slowly the humans began to push back. Amid the chaos, Lieutenant Rin Valker spotted something unusual. Hidden behind the burning clouds of Arden 4's atmosphere, small human strike teams were boarding damaged Vorkai ships. They planted explosives and sabotaged critical systems. Within moments, massive alien vessels exploded, sending shards of metal and fire spinning into the void. "Captain," Rin shouted. "They're breaking through the swarm's lines." Elara's eyes glinted. "Good. Keep the pressure. Don't give them a chance to regroup. Hold nothing back." The battle raged for hours. The Vorkai unleashed wave after wave of attacks, but humanity stood firm. Every explosion, every loss, every close call only strengthened their resolve. The aliens began to hesitate, confusion spreading across their ranks. They had never faced an enemy who refused to run, who would stand and fight even in the face of impossible odds. In the midst of the battle, a young human pilot named Jace Miles flew through a narrow canyon of asteroid debris, dodging enemy fire with impossible precision. He fired his weapons, taking out a Vorkai frigate that threatened the human rear line. His hands shook, but his focus never wavered. He knew the lives of millions depended on their success. From the observation deck of the Dauntless, Captain Kincaid watched him and the other pilots with pride. Humanity had become something more than they were before. They were no longer just a species trying to survive, they were a force that could change the course of the galaxy. As the first wave ended, the human fleet had sustained heavy losses. Several ships were destroyed and countless brave soldiers lay dead. But the Vorkai had been stopped. They had been pushed back. For the first time in the war, the swarm hesitated. Across the galaxy, alien observers watched in disbelief. Many who had fled earlier began to doubt their decisions. Had they underestimated humans all along? Was it possible that this small species, thought weak and insignificant, was capable of defying extinction itself? The part ends with a quiet but chilling moment. The Dauntless hovers above the battered surface of Arden 4. Smoke and fire swirl through the sky. Captain Kincaid looks over the shattered planet and whispers to herself, "We hold this line. No matter the cost. This is only the beginning." The camera pans across the battlefield, showing the human fleet battered but unbroken, the Vorkai ships regrouping in the distance, and the shadow of the next attack looming on the horizon. Hook, humanity has held its first stand against the unstoppable Vorkai. They have survived impossible odds, but the war is far from over. The galaxy is watching. And what comes next may test humans in ways no one could imagine. The battlefield above Arden 4 had fallen silent, but only for a moment. Smoke and fire still swirled around the shattered planet. The human fleet had survived the first wave, battered but unbroken. The Vorkai swarm had retreated into the darkness, regrouping for the next strike. Yet something had changed. Their attacks were no longer chaotic, they were cautious, hesitant. The aliens had seen something, and they feared it. Below the surface of Arden 4, hidden deep within a cratered valley, massive machines hummed to life. In a secret human base, engineers and scientists worked tirelessly. Every panel, every lever, every glowing screen was part of one purpose: Project Ashlight. This was humanity's final plan, a weapon unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Not just a ship, not just a missile, but a system capable of turning the tide of the war. It was so powerful that only the bravest humans could operate it, and so dangerous that even a single mistake could destroy the planet. Captain Alara Kincaid descended into the control center. Her boots clanged against the metal floor, echoing through the chamber. Around her, the engineers worked frantically, sweat on their brows, hands moving faster than eyes could follow. "Status?" she demanded. Lieutenant Rin Valker pointed at the holographic display. "Energy levels are stable. Weapons systems are online. But the swarm is approaching faster than we estimated." Alara's face hardened. "Then we have no time. All units must hold their positions above. We buy the swarm every second we can." Outside, the Vorkai fleet began to return. Ships darkened the void, their engines glowing like embers in the black. They had regrouped and now sought vengeance. "Prepare for contact," a communications officer warned. "They're moving in formation. Full attack imminent." Above the planet, the human fleet took position. Fighters darted between larger ships, their weapons primed. Even in the face of annihilation, no human considered fleeing. They were ready to die if it meant protecting the secret below. The first strike hit. Massive energy beams tore through the human defensive line. Ships exploded in fireballs, sending debris spinning through space. Yet humans adapted instantly. Shields shifted, weapons fired, and through it all they held the line. Deep below, Project Ashlight's systems began to hum louder, almost like a heartbeat. Scientists monitored every parameter, their fingers dancing over controls. The weapon was designed to absorb energy from the star above, focusing it into a single, unstoppable blast. When activated, it could destroy the Vorkai fleet in one strike, but the planet itself would feel the strain. Alara's eyes scanned the room. "Once we fire, there's no turning back. Are we ready?" Every scientist and soldier in the chamber nodded. They had made this choice. Some whispered prayers. Others gritted their teeth, determined to see it through. Above them, the battle raged. Vorkai ships were pushing human forces to the edge. Fighters were torn apart, cruisers exploded, and the fleet's numbers dwindled. But every human knew that time was running out, and every second bought by their stand brought the weapon closer to readiness. "Target coordinates locked," Rin reported. "Power levels at 95%. All systems green." Alara's gaze hardened. "Fire on my command. And remember, we fight so that others may live." The crew above Arden 4 noticed something strange. The Vorkai paused. Their ships halted, scanning the planet below. Something about Arden 4 had changed. Their hissing growls turned into confusion. "Sensors are picking up massive energy fluctuations," one alien observer reported nervously. What are the humans doing?" The Vorkai commander hissed in fury. "Destroy it. Do not let them live. Attack everything." But it was too late. Deep within the crater, Project Ashlight reached full power. The machine glowed brighter than 1,000 suns. Energy rippled through the planet's surface and into the upper atmosphere, forming a massive sphere of light. The humans who had survived the first wave watched as their last hope came alive. Captain Kincaid gave the order. "Fire." The weapon unleashed a blast of unimaginable force. A beam of pure energy shot into space, striking the Vorkai fleet with surgical precision. Ships that had once seemed unstoppable disintegrated instantly, torn apart by the concentrated power of Ashlight. The shockwave rippled across the system, pushing back the remaining enemy vessels. From afar, the galaxy watched in disbelief. No species had ever seen such a weapon. The humans, so small and underestimated, had turned the tide of the battle with a single strike. Above the battlefield, the remaining human fleet cheered quietly. They had survived. They had held the line. And though many lives were lost, the galaxy now knew the truth. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was not afraid. Humanity was dangerous when cornered. Elara Kincaid looked over the crater where the weapon had fired. The glow faded, leaving the surface scorched but intact. She whispered, almost to herself, "We warned them, and now they will remember." The part ends with a chilling shot, the Vorkai fleet retreating into the darkness, wounded but still alive. Somewhere in the shadows, the swarm's commander seethed, plotting its next attack. And humans knew that the war was far from over. Book, humanity has revealed its secret weapon. The Vorkai have been pushed back, but their fury is growing. The next battle will test humans in ways they have never imagined, and the galaxy holds its breath. The battle above Arden 4 was over, for now. The human fleet had survived, though at great cost. Many ships were destroyed, countless brave soldiers lost. Smoke and debris drifted through space like silent ghosts, reminders of a war fought in the edge of darkness. Yet humanity had endured. They had faced the Vorkai swarm and lived to tell the tale. Below, the planet itself bore the marks of Project Ashlight. Craters glowed faintly, scarred by the energy that had destroyed the Vorkai ships. But Arden 4 had survived. Humans had held the line. And in doing so, they had sent a message to the galaxy. Never underestimate them. From the observation deck of the Dauntless, Captain Elara Kincaid stared at the horizon of scattered stars. Her face was tired, marked by soot and exhaustion, yet her eyes burned with determination. "They underestimated us," she whispered. "They thought we were small. They thought we would run." Lieutenant Rin Valker stood beside her. "And now they know, Captain. We fought, and we survived. The galaxy has seen what humans can do." In the Galactic Council chambers, alien leaders reacted in shock and awe. Holoscreens across the galaxy displayed the aftermath. Images of destroyed Vorkai ships, the glowing crater of Arden 4, and human ships holding the line. Some counselors were silent, unable to believe what they were seeing. Others whispered in fear and admiration. This is impossible," muttered one elder. "No species could survive that. Only humans?" His voice trailed off. Meanwhile, the refugees who had fled the swarm's earlier attacks began to take notice. They had abandoned their worlds, fleeing in terror, leaving their people behind. And now they watched as humans, small, underestimated, seemingly weak, had faced death without hesitation. Across distant star systems, human transmissions began to spread. Messages of hope, courage, and defiance were sent to every corner of the galaxy. "We fight so others may live. Do not give in to fear. Humanity stands." The words resonated deeply. Many alien species who had lost hope began to rebuild. They realized that even in the darkest hour, courage could change the outcome of war. Humanity had not just survived, they had inspired. But the cost was not small. Human fleets were diminished. Countless lives had been lost. And the Vorkai swarm had not been completely destroyed. Its commander had retreated, seething with rage, plotting vengeance. The galaxy now knew that the war was far from over. On Arden 4, survivors emerged from shelters, looking at the scarred landscape. Soldiers carried the injured. Civilians whispered thanks and prayers. Some children, wide-eyed, watched the human fighters who had risked everything. Stories would be told for generations of the day humans refused to run. Captain Kincaid walked among her fleet, speaking to her soldiers. "You fought when all hope seemed lost," she said. "You stood against impossible odds. You have proven something the galaxy will never forget. We fight not for glory. We fight for life, for hope, for those who cannot fight for themselves." Her words were met with silence, and then quiet, steady applause. Even in grief, humanity's spirit shone. They had survived the first true test of war, and they had survived together. But somewhere in the shadows of the galaxy, the Vorkai commander seethed. Its massive eyes glowed with fury. Its fleets were scattered, its pride wounded. And yet, it still commanded billions of soldiers, hungering for vengeance. The part ends with a haunting vision. The human fleet hovers above Arden 4, battered but unbroken. Stars shimmer beyond, and distant planets watch silently. Somewhere hidden, the swarm prepares its next attack. Humanity has survived, yes, but the galaxy holds its breath, waiting to see what comes next. Book. Humans have survived the impossible, inspired the galaxy, and proved their courage. But the war is far from over. The Vorkai are wounded, yes, but their wrath is growing. Humanity must prepare for the next, deadlier wave. Years had passed since the Battle of Arden IV. The galaxy was forever changed. The Vorkai swarm had retreated into the dark edges of space, licking its wounds and rebuilding its forces. But the story of humanity's courage had spread across the stars. Every species, every colony, every planet knew the truth. Humans did not flee. Humans faced the fire. Humans survived. On countless worlds, statues of human soldiers were erected. Bronze figures held rifles or fists raised high, eyes forward, faces full of determination. Beneath each statue were engraved words in every major galactic language. They walked into the fire so others could see the dawn. In the Galactic Council chambers, the mood had shifted. Where there had once been fear and disbelief, there was now respect, and even awe. Alien delegates whispered among themselves, realizing that for centuries, they had underestimated the small blue planet called Earth. Some counselors who had once fled in terror, now approached human ambassadors to bow, kneel, or offer apologies. Others simply stood silently, knowing they had witnessed greatness. Above Arden IV, the remaining human fleet hovered, weathered but unbroken. Captain Ilara Kincaid stood on the bridge of the Dauntless, gazing at the planets below. She had seen countless battles, lost many brave soldiers, and stared death in the face more times than she cared to count. Yet now, for the first time, she felt the weight of what humanity had accomplished. Lieutenant Rin Valker joined her. "We made a difference," he said quietly. "Not just for ourselves, for everyone." Ilara nodded. "The galaxy will remember this. But we must remain ready. The Vorkai may be gone for now, but they will return. And next time, it may not be enough to fight. We will need more." Across the galaxy, humans rebuilt. Colonies once thought lost were restored. Refugees returned to their homes. Entire worlds had witnessed the courage of a species that refused to flee. Stories of human bravery became legend. Songs were written. Holovids broadcasted accounts of the battle. Children grew up knowing that humans had faced impossible odds and survived. But even as humans celebrated, the shadow of war loomed. In the dark reaches of space, the Vorkai commander watched and planned. Its fleet was stronger, its anger more intense. And yet, it could not shake the image of humans standing against its unstoppable force, their eyes filled with fire and determination. On Earth, the homeworld, humanity paused to remember those who had fallen. Cities observed moments of silence. Monuments bore the names of soldiers who had never returned. And in the skies, human ships flew in formation, a silent promise. They would never run no matter the threat. Captain Kincaid addressed her fleet over the comms, her voice steady and commanding. "We fight not because it is easy. We fight because it is necessary. We fight because others cannot. We are humanity, and we will not run. The galaxy may doubt us, but they will never forget us." As her words echoed across the stars, a sense of awe settled over every human ship. For the first time in history, the galaxy truly understood. Humanity was not the weakest, not the small, insignificant species it had once seemed. Humanity was resilient. Humanity was clever. Humanity was unstoppable when standing together. The final scene pans across the galaxy. Stars twinkling, planets alive with hope, alien worlds whispering stories of humans. And at the center, the Earth fleet moves silently through space, ready for whatever comes next. The camera focuses on Captain Kincaid, her face determined as she whispers to herself, "We do not run from darkness. We light it up." The galaxy holds its breath, knowing the war is far from over, but also knowing one undeniable truth: humanity will never flee. Humanity will always fight. Ending. Humanity's courage has changed the galaxy forever. The Vorkai may return, but the legacy of Earth's warriors will inspire hope, courage, and defiance for generations. The story ends with suspense, pride, and the promise of future battles, leaving the audience eager for more.